always looking for something cool going on around here, and to that end, we've asked our old friend Ken Percival, actually he's not that old, but he's a friend, to come and talk about some things. You do books, you do publishing. Tell us what you do.
Yeah, so I'm into writing, Mike, and every time that I make an appearance, it always helps the business, helps sell books, so I appreciate that.
It gets the word out a little bit. Yeah. Now, it's all ebooks.
So it's ebooks, stuff that you can buy on Amazon.
All right.
And being a writer, there's always that conversation with folks. They share that have an interest to, what does it take to write a book?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's about getting it on paper.
Yeah.
That's part of it, being able to type. And then, once you get there, it's, like you say, finishing the book. How do you finish it?
Yeah.
Where do you go?
I said earlier, before the show started, anybody can write a book. Few people can finish writing one. And if you do finish, then what?
Yeah.
What happens?
So, Belview Books, that's my brand.
Belview,
That's how people can go out and see one of the books I have. Double Helix is one of the novels I've written. It's BelviewBooks.com. It takes you out to Amazon to be able to immediately download that book, read it, have a good time. It's fiction. Of course, in the conversations I have with folks, a lot of people like to talk about writing nonfiction, talk about a little bit about what they accomplished, be able to share that with the world. And so if you want to do something like that, certainly I'm open to talk to people about it. They can reach out to me at kenpercival at belviewbooks.com, kind of send them in the right direction to get that. And
I know Ken, and he's a good guy, but are there people out there that are using people like, hey, give us thousands of dollars, we'll get your book published, or something like that?
Yeah, so there is. It's so do-it-yourself publishing, independent publishing. They call it indie, the independent business. So there's always going to be that opportunity. It's a risk of going out and taking that approach. It's really, what is it that you are going to accomplish? Right. Are you looking to be able to be that bestseller?
Something in your hand that you can show off to your friends. That's a lot of people do it for that reason.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. And the starting point is, what's the arc of the story? What is it? So if you're going to talk about a biography as an example, what catches people's interest? Who's going to follow this? Mm-hmm. And so being a writer, to be able to turn it into making some money is about figuring out who would be interested in that. Right. Who's your audience? Who do you know? For myself, I've run into a lot of people over the years. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie Big Fish.
Mm-hmm.
The one it's talks about this guy. He was a sales guy, and kind of the unbelievable story that he told his son. And so sometimes life does kind of feel like that, having so many different careers, so many things. And so in writing, that's sort of, you're building that story. It's that storytelling piece of it.
But you want to figure out who would this appeal to. My book that I've written and not published is on the fall of Laos to the communists in 1975. So there's about 10 nerds out there that would find that interesting. So, but you're saying find a book, find an audience.
So in writing it, you think about what draws people in to keep turning the pages. I've had the opportunity to listen to authors speak on different radio shows. And so a lot of people that are very successful, like a Stephen King or James Patterson, what they'll tell you is to write is about reading. You start off to figure out, who is it that catches your interest in writing, and read that to be able to get a sense of where do I go? What's the arc of the story that I'm going to tell? And in your case, something like war, that's a lot of people have those stories, and it piques their interest to see that. And so as you're going through and talking about that real life experience, you're a storyteller, right? You are, and so converting that to the page it's being mindful of the language that you're choosing, and a lot of it in writing it's that activeness. So you're using words that bring people in. I talk about a screenplay style. So if somebody reads my book Tungstein, which is this character, he's a protagonist, he's the good guy, but you kind of want to hate him.
But you say screenplay, so you could sort of picture the thing in your mind as you're reading.
Yeah, exactly. So the mechanics of a screenplay, if a lot of kids in school are familiar with Scholastic, and many times they would put out screenplays of different movies that have been out, and gives you a sense. It's a mechanical view of enter stage left, in the interior shot, exterior shot. And so what I do is I kind of translate that in the book to being able to set up a scene thinking about that during the editing process. So thinking about an outside scene where the main character, his son is outside at 6 o'clock in the morning with the noisy tools and equipment, and being able to kind of set that shot up so that as they're reading it, they're able to draw that picture for themselves. It's the imagination.
Well, I want to ask you a bit about ebooks, but in the end, I want to get to your books. Double Helix, does that have to do with chromosomes or
Yeah, so Double
DNA,
Helix,
or?
it's a murder mystery, but it's kind of like going down the road of the Fountain of Youth. The characters are all kind of gauging each other as maybe that's the murderer, maybe not. And so it's a twist and turn of using the DNA, RNA, living forever, maybe.
Yeah.
In the times of the coronavirus, it sort of catches a little bit of interest.
Makes you think a little
kind of
bit,
diverts away from what's happening currently. And
Now, is Double Helix connected to another book? Do you do series, or do they all stand on their own?
yeah, so they share characters. And Tungstein is sort of a compilation novel that focuses on the character Patty Tungstein and sort of tracks his life as he's figuring out what his next career is. So this is somebody that had been in the service, and really the opening shot of it is looking at his life in pictures. You can imagine kind of that flipping of all the pictures and thinking back to, what are the things that you remember? Anybody can do that, right? We think back 30 years ago, and there's things that stand out to us.
Yes. Now, you chose to go the, ebook route.
The ebook route, which is great because you don't have the inventory cost.
Right, which is giant.
And so in publishing, you
And
can
the
spend a
readers
lot of money.
readers have a lot less cost, too. I would imagine.
They're able to snap in an instant, be able to view it. They're not waiting for it in the mail.
Right.
It's instant. It's something.
What do you need to read this? You have to have a Kindle or
an iPad, any type of electronic device.
So any of these pads you could do an ebook on?
Yeah.
You're kind of telling that I don't do ebooks yet, huh? I read a lot of books, and but I've started doing some audio books.
Mm-hmm.
But I think ebooks, I just need to try it.
Yeah.
But once I start, I don't
It's something
stop.
that's nice because you can adjust the text size based on what is comfortable for you to read.
That's why I went to audiobooks, because I can't see traditional books that well anymore.
They give
So
you the
could,
different page colors so
you
that
can
you can get an ivory.
get
kind of
what
a bit
works
more
for me.
contrast. It definitely allows you to customize it.
Right.
And
So-
I'd say, as you think about the writing, taking your book and following through to it, is, start with an hour, put it down on paper, and then, go back to it.
Yeah.
Have
Just-
a particular
I
time.
need a
We'll ask you
commitment.
about that.
Need to get a commitment. CentralValleyTalk we adopted a format where we have fixed cameras, fixed studio. People come in every day and say, why don't you guys do it this way or that way? This is the way we adopted. But you adopted ebooks. And do people come all the time and say, why don't you do it a different way?
In promoting the books, I have proof copies that I give out to people.
Okay.
And so to be able to build a following, and so I have paperbacks that, as people I know, I'll hand it to them, and it kind of is a collector's edition.
Nice.
And they're out, and so I have a marketing campaign that I go to local bookstores, and I'll give them 3 or 4 of them,
Yeah.
and so get it out in the world that way as well. But most of the money that I'm earning is coming from the ebook sales.
Ebook sales.
Because it's ubiquitous. I've got people all over the world that are able to download and read the book. And
So you have a market out there of people who read ebooks. There's millions of them probably. How do you reach them?
out-of-home advertising. So if you've ever heard of like electronic billboards, and then this links up really tightly with your show here, because being able to have a sense of that name sounds familiar, but then being able to almost have a personal conversation like we're having
Yeah.
right now.
Right.
And so it's that 1-2 bam punch of, you think Pac-Man where you've got all of the graphics that come up. It's that kind of thing where it makes it that much more of a conversion to be able to get the person to see who the writer is.
Yeah. I love to read a book where I know the writer, I know something about the writer. Hopefully somebody Googles, they'll find this interview, like, what book should I read next, or what e-book should I read next? Hopefully this will pop up.
BelleviewBooks.com that's what I advertise out there. That's the branding. And so in LA, I've got Bellevue Books on electronic billboards all over the place.
Right,
so it causes them to go out to Google, and they find the show.
Very good. Well, the books are, what books are out right now? Double Helix and
Tungstein.
Tungstein, which is spelled different than I thought it would. Tungstein.
Yeah, so this guy kind of plays on tungsten, the metal. He's tough as tungsten. That's kind of it. And, you know, Stein, how do you say that? Tungstein?
Yeah.
Kind of, so there's the reader, it foreshadows, you know, who is this person?
Right.
What's the background there?
Very good. So, BelleviewBooks.com?
BelleviewBooks.com. And then if you're interested in having a personal conversation, reach out to me, Ken Percival at BelleviewBooks.com. That will get you right to me. There's a phone number, 209-233-0272. And but what I like about being here today is the fact that I get out there and get in front of people to go and download an ebook today.
Download an ebook. Get your first one. Start with, which one should they do first, Tungsten or Double Helix?
Tungsten.
Tungsten first, and then Double Helix. And anything else you want our viewers to know?
Well, I just say that if you have that interest, it's just a matter of sitting down and putting it onto paper.
Very good. Our guest is Ken Percival, BelleviewBooks.com. If you have a book, you've been writing and you're kind of getting where you think you want to get it published, email Ken. It's free to talk to him. Ken, Ken Percival at?
BelleviewBooks.com.
Very good. We'll be back with more Central Valley Talk right after this.